Calculation is super important in chess, and this cannot be understated. However, we have to keep in mind our own attributes. We have to keep in mind what our skill set is and what skill level we are actually at. We cannot try to play like a 2700 grandmaster. Many players try to do this. They watch highlight videos of their favorite chess players who are sacking 20 pieces. No, it's not possible. Well, they're sacking numerous pieces, and they're seeing combinations like 20 moves in advance. And this is the best players in the world, okay? So this would be like trying to play basketball like LeBron James, okay, and watching a highlight reel of it and then just trying to dunk. It's not going to work for most of us. Anyway, calculation is important, but it's very hard to be super accurate, especially when you're calculating moves further in advance. This game here that I'm about to show you comes from a game I played at the Marshall Chess Club, and my opponent was a very good player. He was, between 15 and 1600, but I would estimate that he's actually stronger than that. And he was very good tactically, but even him being a good tactical player, he went into a forced variation that was like 7-8 moves in advance, and he missed a very non-obvious defensive resource that I had in the position. Anyway, without further ado, let's check it out. Let's look at the game. All right, so this game is played at the Marshall Chess Club, and so it starts off like a regular, very typical Italian game here. So also another reason why I wanted to show this game is because it is a very common opening. A lot of you guys probably see this either over the board at tournaments or online, which most of you probably play at. Okay, so right here, d3, just protecting the pawn and preparing to get the bishop out to e3. Okay, my opponent plays h6, not a bad move, just not a book move, really. It's usually d6, but it's a fine move. And after bishop e3, I'm just attacking the bishop. If my opponent takes, I can take back. Now, video is not about this. It's not about the opening of the Italian and how to play it. This is about deep calculation, but I'm just going over a couple of things as we go along the way. Okay, my opponent, this is kind of like a waste of a move. Not a bad move, but unnecessary. He could have just brought the bishop back, but whatever. I go for the bishop trade, so he trades the bishop for knight. And he does double my pawns, but my pawns are actually good because I can always alleviate that double pawn. And they're actually together, and I have an open B file for my rook, so it's okay. All right, so I play h3. Now I played h3 because I want to play queen d2, but if I play queen d2 first, then he can do this and trap my bishop. So I played h3 first, and then after d5, which is a good move, striking in the center. You'll see the game is even by the evaluation bar over here. I just take, and he takes, and he's going for my bishop. He wants to get the bishop pair back. So I have the bishop pair. That's an advantage, and it's an advantage that he doesn't appreciate. Now, my opponent's about in between 15, 1600, that range, and he was a decent player. So he was making good moves, and he had good ideas. So he took, and I took back with the queen. And he goes after my bishop. This is the first move. Now, this is fine. He's still fine here. As you see, the position's equal. But this is the first move I really didn't think was great. Because he's just moving his knight on the side of the board, and after I move my bishop away, his knight's just stuck on the side of the board. And as you'll see, a lot of times the knight will get stuck on the side of the board after doing a move like this. And in this particular game, it basically was stuck there for most of the entire game. Okay, he plays bishop f5, good move. I castle, and he plays queen d6. I just put my rook on an open file. Notice I'm not threatening to win a pawn because the knight is defending. So for that reason, he just ignored it and played rook e8. And I played rook e1, and now he goes for d5. So e4, attacking my knight. I move my knight away and hit his bishop. And here's where the main point of the video begins. So I'm attacking his bishop. Okay, so yes, there's tactics. You can see if he takes, he's hitting my queen, and this pawn's getting closer to queening. Now, he probably should just move his bishop away, and he's fine. However, he went into a deep calculation dive. Now, from my experience as a chess player, I know that there's probably, just my intuition told me, the game hasn't kind of progressed enough for there to justify some deep calculation, right? The game's just not that far, and we're not that far into the game, and there's not that much tension in the position that would justify some deep level of calculation. So my intuition told me there's really nothing here, but my opponent decided to go into a deep calculation dive. And now he's already losing the game. The computer evaluates at like plus 1.4, which is not terribly losing, but he has to play precisely. And even if he plays precisely, he's still technically lost. So his point was he's hitting my queen with his rook. He's winning a pawn. And after I move my queen, let's say over here or something, he's going to get another pawn, and he's doing great for himself. Well, yes, he is hitting my queen, but what he didn't realize is I'm hitting his rook. So, yes, the rook's a bigger piece than the queen, but I can win. I have a chance here to win 2 rooks. And also, my knight's still hitting his bishop. So, for that reason, I just took the rook, and when he took back, I took a second rook. So I got 2 rooks for the queen. That's about an even trade. Actually, it's a little bit better for me. 2 rooks are, like, worth 10 points. If we want to be, like, very dogmatic about the value system, piece system, and queen's worth 9 points. But anyway, 2 rooks is definitely worth a queen. But this comes with check, and after he moves out of the way, I get the bishop. So I get the bishop on top of it, so now I have a material edge. Now, he saw this, okay? So he saw all this. It's not that he didn't see this. He's a good player. But he saw he had queen d7, which looks like it puts me in a tough spot. It really does. So it hits the rook and knight, but I also saw this. And now I just have to save the rook and the knight with one move. Try to pause your videos here and find the move that saves both the rook and the knight. So if we make like a random move, if I come back here or something, that's going to cause some serious problems. He's going to take my knight. That's not good. And we still have to worry about this pawn maybe. You know, if I take, he's going to take back. And these pawns are weak. It's not really a great position. So I simply just put my rook back to e5. Now, I saved my rook. I'm protecting my knight. And also it must be noted that I am attacking this loose knight on the side of the board that's not protected. Now, he saw this, and he just played pawn c2. Now, we're both still in our calculation, meaning this is still part of his calculation that he made when he played e takes d3, right? The pawn takes d3. And also, when he took the pawn, I had to go into a deep calculation dive myself. I had to see if should I move my queen away or should I just take the rooks. So we're both still into our calculation, meaning like what we calculated from the beginning of this variation. So I saw, you know, this from the beginning of the variation, and I saw I would just play rook c1 here. So after rook c1, I'm stopping the pawn from queening, and I'm attacking the pawn. And then this was his point from playing e takes d3 his whole entire time. At the end of the whole variation, he has queen d1 check, and it looks like he's winning. Now, if I take, obviously he just takes back and gets a queen, and he's completely winning. And if I move my king away, he just takes the rook, and he's going to move out of the way, and queen, and he's completely winning. So, for that reason, it looks like a good idea. It looks like a good calculation dive that he took. However, he missed a very important resource that's easy to miss when you're calculating something 6, 7, 8 moves in advance. And this is why I'm making this video, the dangers of deep calculation, because he's a good player, but he missed one move that's hard to see. It's probably hard to see right now for some people, but for 7, 8 moves in advance, it's very hard to see. I just played rook e1, and that just kills the entire attack. If he takes my rook, I just take back. So it's a blind spot a lot of times, the rook coming back here, because it looks like it's not protected, but it is actually protected by these 2 rooks protect each other. So here, just to finish off the game, because we're only a few moves away from the end, believe it or not, my opponent played queen d3. He's hitting my knight again, so I played knight e7. He brought his knight in. I actually just took the pawn here. The point is he cannot take because he'll pin himself to the king. So for that reason, he took this pawn. I played rook e2, and then I'm surprised because he didn't fall for it the first time, but for some reason he fell for this. He brought his knight back into the game. I did not take the knight. I simply played bishop e1, pinned the queen to the king, and my opponent resigned at this point. All right, so there you have it, folks. The dangers of deep calculation. When you're calculating in chess, Try not to calculate too deeply or go into some forced variation or a line unless you're absolutely sure that it works, because there's a lot of resources and there could be a lot of resources in your opponent's position it's really hard to see when you're looking ahead and you don't have that position in front of you because everything's in your minds. All right, anyway, if you enjoyed that video, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I'll catch you next time. Get out there, go play some chess.